here in Singapore, landlords who evict tenants on home quarantine order or leave of absence or based on nationality could be barred from renting to foreign work pass holders in future. Now, in a joint statement last night, the Manpower, Education and National Development Ministries said the government had received feedback about such actions by landlords. Minister for National Development Lawrence Wong also told Parliament yesterday that evicting these tenants would only be counterproductive to current efforts in containing the virus spread.
We've also heard feedback of landlords stigmatizing tenants based on their nationality, or worse, evicting PRC tenants who are taking their leave of absence. I can appreciate that Singaporeans are very concerned about the well-being of themselves and their family members. But if landlords start turning tenants away, then our overall containment efforts will be much harder and we end up endangering ourselves and others. The outcome will be completely counterproductive. So we should not condone such irresponsible actions that will end up putting Singapore and Singaporeans at greater risk. In such difficult times, we should not let our fears overwhelm us and cause us to overreact. Instead, let us support each other and look out for one another so that we can all get through this together.
Now, to share more on this, we have journalist Tee Zhuo in the studio with us. Welcome, Tee. Tee, what are the landlords afraid of, especially in cases where, these landlords, they are not living together with their tenants?
Well, as you point out, some of their concerns do stem from living in the same place as their tenants. For example, I think there was a landlord that spoke to my colleague, Yuan Xin. He told her that he was afraid of getting infected with the virus during that 14 days of a leave of absence period. But other landlords are driven by a fear of the virus spreading within their dormitories, potentially affecting more workers. But as the government's joint release pointed out, many of these evictions are motivated sometimes by nationality. And I think we have to consider that xenophobia definitely has a large part to play in some of these reactions.
Right. So I have to ask though, what's going to happen to these workers then who have been evicted? Is the onus on them to find alternative accommodations? And if so, what regulations are in place, to help them?
Well, the short answer is many of them are stranded and have only days to find a place to stay. Some of them have told us that hotels are also turning them away and that they have tried to contact the authorities for help, but there will be an inevitable delay. One employer spoke to me and told me that the government should start thinking about setting up quarantine centers, for example, specialized lodging. And well, there are Ministry of Manpower guidelines for employers of foreigners who hold work permits in Singapore. And part of these guidelines include that the employer needs to bear some responsibility and adhere to the guidelines for private or public housing in terms of housing their workers. So lawyers we spoke to also said that there's the legal recourse. Tenants can file claims in the small claims tribunal or sue them in the courts for breach of agreement or go for mediation. But of course, all these will take time. The government, of course, has recently said, as you pointed out, that landlords will be taken to task with restrictions if they do evict people. So, yeah.
Now, having said that, Tee, then, so what do employers do now to find alternative accommodations for evicted workers? And how long do they have for this?
Well, some are booking out hotels, some are trying to get other dormitories. I just got off the phone with an employer who had to pay 6 months of rent to house her workers for 14 days because they had been kicked out by their landlord. So I think employers are not very happy about the situation either. As for how long they have, we're right now trying to get more details with the authorities on the issue, including whether or not there's other assistance that's planned, for the workers or for the employers. I think it's important to remember that the measures for quarantine and for leave of absence are also there for our safety, for Singaporean safety. And as Law and Home Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam said recently about those who are spreading anti-Chinese sentiments, you know that these people are on leave of absence or on quarantine so that the rest of Singapore, all of us can be safe. So if they're tossed out on the streets, where are they going to go?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tee, for coming on to share more on this. Now, the ministries emphasize that those placed on home quarantine orders or leave of absence are well, and that these are simply precautionary measures to protect Singaporeans from the spread of the virus. They added that those who are unwell or with a fever or respiratory symptoms will be sent to a hospital for assessment and isolated if there is a suspect case. Now, for more on the coronavirus here in Singapore, head on to straitstimes.com.